everyone, it's Emma, and today I'm doing another Top 5 Wednesday. This week's topic is books that you want to reread. Now, I'm foregoing the obvious answers like Harry Potter and anything by Sarah J. Maas, anything by Leigh Bardugo, because I always want to reread those books, and I feel like they're like the obvious answers, and I wanted to think a little bit more about it. These are not in any order. They're not from ones that I want to reread least to most or anything like that. They're just kind of random. The first one that I want to reread is Emma by Jane Austen. I've only read Emma once, whereas I've read Pride and Prejudice a couple times, and I've read Persuasion a couple times. But Emma, I've only read once, and it was years ago. I'm not even sure how old I was. I was young, but I remember loving it, and it was a lot easier to read than Jane Austen's other books. Emma is such an interesting heroine. She's very flawed and frustrating at times, but I just found it really fun to read, and I would really like to reread it now that I'm like grown up and not a kid anymore. I could reread Jane Austen over and over again, really. But Emma's the one that I think I've read the least, other than Sense and Sensibility, because I'm not sure that I've ever finished Sense and Sensibility. That's off topic, but you know. The next one is one that I'm actually planning to reread soon, hopefully, and that's City of Bones by Cassandra Clare. I first read the first 3 books of The Mortal Instruments years ago, like when I was 15 or something. I didn't like them. I thought that they were really over dramatic. To me, they came across as soap opera-y, but at the time of my life, I was, in school and my classes were very intense and I wasn't reading anything like this. I was reading lots of classics and it was like at the beginning of my love for classics, so I was really just kind of being a snob. This past year, I read Infernal Devices and I finished this series and I read Lady Midnight and I loved all of them. I know I'm going to enjoy this when I go back and reread it, and I would really like to go reread it so that I can form a new opinion, because I still remember not liking it when I was younger, and I haven't reread it since then, but I've read the whole series and I've liked all of Cassandra Clare's books. Now that I'm older and I can appreciate it for what it is, I want to go back and reread it, experience it in a way that I will enjoy. The next book that I would like to reread is The Opposite of Loneliness by Marina Keegan. This is a bind-up of short stories and essays and things that this young woman had written throughout her life. This young woman was the valedictorian at her class at Yale, and a couple days after she graduated and presented her speech at the graduation, she died tragically in a car crash. And so her family took all of her writing and bound it up into this amazing book. These short stories is one of the reasons why I want to be an author. I read this in high school at some point. It was really impactful to me, the way that this woman wrote and what she wrote about. It was very real life. It has that subtlety that I like. I've only read this through start to finish once. I've read a couple of the stories multiple times, but I would really like to read it start to finish, read all the stories, because of what an impact it had on me when I was younger. The next book that I would like to reread is not one that I'm really planning to reread anytime soon. It's just one that I would like to at some point in my life. I'd like to reread this. And that's The Odyssey by Homer. I read it when I was young for school, and I really enjoyed it because I had an amazing teacher, but it was difficult to read, obviously, because I was young. I would really like to read it now, because I did enjoy it that time, so I feel like now I would enjoy it even more. The Odyssey is a Greek epic, if you don't know. I'm sure you know the name. I've also never read the Iliad, and I would like to read them both at the same time. Again, these aren't books that I'm planning to read anytime soon. Someday I would really like to reread the Odyssey and experience it as an adult, and experience it not in a class where I had an amazing teacher who was really helping me enjoy it. I'd just like to see what I would think of it now. The last book that I would like to reread is one that I will definitely reread many times, and it's not even really a book, it's more like a series. The Raven Cycle by Maggie Stiefvater. This is like my favorite series ever, and I've mentioned it 1,000 times, and I just reread the first one, and I really want to reread all the other ones. I've been talking to people who have been reading this series for the first time. I want to read this again. I've only read all the books once, and I've read the first book twice, but it's like my favorite series, so I want to reread it naturally. And I love these characters. I love Maggie Stiefvater's writing style and the magic that she has just poured into these books. Like, these are the most magical books next to The Night Circus that I've ever read. I get the feeling that these books are ones that you enjoy just as much the second time you read through the series as you did the first time, because you pick up on a lot more. Like, while I was rereading the first one recently, last month or whenever I reread that, I picked up on all this stuff that blew my mind, because now I've finished the whole series. I couldn't believe it. So I feel like the rest of the books are definitely going to be like that as well. Okay, those are my top 5 Wednesday. These aren't necessarily the books that I want to reread the most. They're not necessarily top 5 books I want to reread, but they were the ones that have stuck in my mind that I think I will want to reread at some point. Let me know down in the comments one book that you would like to reread, or one book that you can just read over and over and over again and you never get tired of it. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please hit the subscribe button. I miss Emma Reads a lot on all my social media. I'll put that linked down below. As always, if you want to follow my Bookstagram account or follow me on Tumblr, put that all linked down below so you can find it really easy. And I will see you guys soon with a new video.